system and some different kind of stuff like that as well. It seems like this one would be the best way in view of the fact
Yep.
that every 4 years you will have played home and away at every place.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then the division model is still out there too, floating around. So, but I don't know if that one's gonna pan out or anything like that. But this is what we would love to do is we'd love to talk about different scenarios and all
Hey
that.
man, and
So
if the other one comes out, let's make a video about that one. We'll
hey,
talk about it too. So
that's the beauty of podcast, right?
I love it, man.
There
Yeah,
you go.
really. Let's go! Welcome back to the Hall of Fame College Football Podcast. I'm your host, Jason Watkins. And if you love college football, you're definitely in the right place. So before you forget, smash that red subscriber button, like our videos, and don't forget to ring the bell so you don't miss one moment of the Hall of Fame College Football Podcast. Folks, I would like to welcome Drew England from the Under Official Review and the All Sooners podcasts.
Anything
To the
OU
show.
podcast.
Anything OU. My
It's
bad
all
on that.
good. It's all good.
Hey, man, thanks for joining the show today. Since it was announced on Thursday that Oklahoma and Texas had come to an agreement with the Big 12 and the TV partners on entering the SEC a year early, one of the things that I've seen the most out there that's kind of a trending topic is, who are the Sooners and Longhorns going to be playing, particularly every year. They've been talking about this 3-6 model, which obviously we need to kind of describe for everybody. But I felt like maybe we could jump on it here, and I started doing some research, and I think I have a pretty good idea on it. I know that you have a lot of opinions about what you think is going to happen as well with the 3-6 model as well. May differ a little bit, but I definitely wanted to throw this out there for the audience and let them see what they thought as well. And maybe we can change each other's mind or something and kind of see what you think. I had created a poll the other day, and I probably should have did it different because I just asked, obviously, which one team aside from Texas do you want to play? What I should have said was, name the schools aside from Texas that you would like to see Oklahoma play every year. The 3-6 model is obviously, and correct me if I'm wrong on this, you have 3 protected, permanent, every year opponents, and then the other 12 opponents in the league would rotate on a every other year basis, home and away. Is that right?
Yeah, I mean that's the model that we've seen. I don't know if that's exactly the model that they're going to go with, but
Right.
that's a there's a lot of projections out there, but yeah, essentially that's the format that they could potentially use for sure.
Right, and that was the one that I keep hearing the most about.
Yeah.
I've heard
Oh,
stuff
yeah.
about a pod system and some different kind of stuff like that as well. It seems like this one would be the best way in view of the fact
Yep.
that every 4 years you will have played home and away at every place.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then the division model is still out there too, floating around. So, but I don't know if that one's gonna pan out or anything like that. But this is what we would love to do is we'd love to talk about different scenarios and all that.
Hey man, and
So,
if the other one comes out, let's make a video about that one. We'll
hey,
talk about it too. So
that's the beauty of podcast, right?
I love it, man.
There
Yeah,
you go.
really. So the first thing I wanted to tell everybody was one of the things that I'll give let me give the results of the poll. There was only 127 votes, probably because it was a stupid poll, but 55% of voters did say that they wanted to see Arkansas on the schedule. I know you and I talked off the air. That's both of us would like to see that game as well.
I would love to see that game.
Yeah.
And I'll get into that a little later, but
okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool. So that was over half of them, and then the closest to that one was 21% of people saying that they'd like to see LSU be one of the preferred opponents. 15% were saying Texas A&M, and then about 8% said Missouri. Now, you only are allowed to put 4 options on the Twitter poll anyway, so it's kind of limited. I had a couple of people that one guy that said Georgia, which I thought was pretty bold, and then a couple of people in the comments that were saying, "Hey, let's see Arkansas." So Arkansas would have gotten another couple of votes there anyway. Again, I feel like that's definitely one of the ones I'd like to see. First things first, there almost certainly will not be one of Oklahoma or Texas's top half conference opponents are not going to be a few people. But before we talk about that, obviously, I mean, let's just make it clear that Oklahoma and Texas are tied to each other and to the Red River rivalry on a yearly basis.
That would be just asinine if they were like, "Nope, you guys aren't playing." So I cannot think of a scenario that's not going to happen. So
no way in hell.
It would just be
they certainly did not
too much money lost. TV revenue. Now that you're going to the SEC, that game could be prime time on CBS at 2:30 for the first time in ever, and that's going to generate so much money. They would be stupid.
Yeah, and that's the whole thing is like if you look at it, and I don't know if they're going to change the date or the time of year that they're going to do it or whatever they're going to do, and I've even heard things about doing it at nighttime. One thing I know for sure is that would be kind of cool, right?
It would, but the down around the fair gets a little dicey at night. So
it does. I've been to a few Red Rivers. I know what you're talking about. Yeah, I agree with you there. Yeah. In any event, I know for sure that they didn't bring them in so they could turn it into an every other year affair when it's a top 5 rated on television event in college football every season.
They gotta keep
that would be silly talk.
That's a lock almost. I would go ahead and
it's a lock. Yes, definitely. So I feel like we can both say that. And I don't care what pie in the sky BS crap that Matt Be Great told you on his entertaining, albeit yet frequently off the mark Channel Friday. This is a done deal. Book it. Now we made that clear. One thing I will say is, from what I can tell, and if you start looking at some of this stuff, it's pretty simple to follow. Because of the simple fact that just what we just talked about with OU and Texas. Number one, OU or Texas is not going to play Alabama every year. It's not going to happen.
Yeah, I don't.
They're not going to play Georgia every year. They're not going to play Josh Heupel in Tennessee every year, and they're not going to play Florida every year, and they're not going to play Auburn every year.
No, the teams over there in the East, it's just going to be like it is in the SEC now, where the 2 divisions, and then it's going to kind of flip flop, and how Alabama gets out of not playing Georgia every other year or even every 4 years is just unbeknownst to me. But
pretty wild, right?
Yeah, but I think you're right on with some of those teams out there. You'll see them every couple years on the schedule. But
I think obviously Bama plays Auburn every year and Tennessee every year.
Yep.
The Iron Bowl is the second highest rated out there. According to 247, they're the second highest rated rivalry game there is.
Well, and then you've got Georgia, who plays Florida and South Carolina every year. So
Florida and
South Carolina, they'll play South Carolina every year.
Well, and they play Auburn every year also.
Yeah.
So they're pretty much locked into all 3 of those.
Well, that one could change. Auburn could change because you've got the Mississippi schools right there in that little area. And so I would almost bet for Georgia, they play South Carolina and Florida every year. And then there's another team there that they would probably, go. Auburn could certainly be one. And then you've got like Tennessee or somebody like that, try to bring that rivalry back a little more. But I think definitely South Carolina and Florida stays on. Florida will stay on their schedule, just like Oklahoma, because that game is a neutral site. And
I always thought money. One of the things that I've seen, and I mean, like I said, I've been going through different things and what different people are saying and the different content creators, and everybody had Tennessee as Bama for sure, but Florida also being another one of their for sure upper tier. So, that's even if that was to be changed out with South Carolina, because Tennessee's a lock to play Vandy every year, being on their bottom half guys. So, they're probably locked out. And then, as we said, Auburn definitely, they generally play Bama and Georgia every year.
Yeah.
But I could see them maybe switching to, like you said, Ole Miss, possibly.
Well, they're going to play Alabama every year. That's
no doubt about that. That's for sure,
just like Oklahoma and Texas. That's
Absolutely.
a lock. Georgia and Florida, that's a lock. So yeah, you're that Iron Bowl has to. I mean, that would be insane.
Right, and even I mean, Tennessee and Alabama's been going on longer than anybody watching this.
And that game is probably going to be a lock as well.
That's pretty much a lock as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
So that's just my thoughts. I think that the ones that are probably more up in the air, Mississippi State and Ole Miss. LSU doesn't have a guaranteed partner in any of this.
Now,
Kentucky.
I would say that LSU may have a lock in this one lock, and I think it would be Arkansas just because of that rivalry as well. But I'm just saying that's a lock. But
I was thinking A&M was the other one.
A&M
the fact of kind of what's
those
been
two
happening.
could be a lock for them. But that game that they played, and I lived in Northwest Arkansas for like 12 years, and I understand that the rivalry and the hatred in that game, you would just be crazy not to continue that with LSU, the boot, the trophy, all that stuff that they do.
Yeah, man.
And then A&M, playing that at Jerry World and generating the money that they do.
Right, and they've had some freaking unbelievable. I mean, what did they have, the 6 overtime game that time? And I mean, it's been a nice little.
There's some games that the SEC is gonna have to just lock up for rivalry's sake and all that stuff. But I mean, easier said than done because you've got a lot of moving parts.
That's the whole thing. Is like when you start looking at it. My thing was here, and here's where we kind of, we can start getting to the point that matters for us, which is being Big 12 guys going into the SEC and looking at Texas and Oklahoma first and foremost. Texas A&M being an old rival, and then you've got Missouri and Arkansas, which we both talked about a minute ago. So these are all programs that have some history together, being either the Southwest Conference, Big 8, whatever, in the past. Obviously, as we said, Oklahoma and Texas are playing each other. We know that for sure. My thought was for sure that, and I'm not too sure about this. Tell me what you think about this. I don't know why you wouldn't have Texas A&M being an every year opponent for Texas, for sure, right? Except for the fact that A&M bitches about it, and they do not want Texas back in with them. And
I think A&M just finds stuff to bitch about anyway. So
of course they do. But do you wonder if possibly does the SEC throw them a bone though, Drew, and say, okay, we'll let you just play them every other year, but you got to play Oklahoma.
Yeah, but here's the thing that it comes down to, and this is just the nature of the beast when it comes to money, all that stuff. That would be a huge money game for the SEC, and just in the time they haven't played. Oh gosh, that first game coming back would be just insane,
epic.
And I think the SEC into jumping in right in and shooting off fireworks to start this thing off. I think you put that on the schedule if I'm the SEC, because it's just holy cow, that's compelling TV right there, and all the rivalries and all the games that they've had in the past, and now you've gone this long of a stretch without playing each other, and obviously there's bad blood and pissed off fans at each other and all kinds of stuff. That's just the makings for a great
little brother game. And I mean it's almost like for sure that if Okie Light was to ever find its way into the SEC, they're going to be playing Oklahoma every year.
Yep. And that's one of those things that state of Texas, they're both going to be in the SEC. That's a huge recruiting battle for both of those teams. Absolutely. And I think that the winner
crazy to not want to play.
Yeah, and the winner of and I think that maybe they're both. I don't want to say scared because scared is not the right word, but I think they're both a little hesitant because if they lose that game, then that could flip recruits in the state of Texas right there. And so there's a lot more battles than just on the field in that one. You got friends that work together. You've got all kinds of different stuff going on.
If you've ever been around that part of the country, whenever that week is going on, which I have,
insane.
It is absolutely insane.
So I think if you're the SEC, you have to. I mean, you almost have to put that game on the schedule.
Well, and that was in. I mean, that's my first thought is that, and then I thought about it, and I was like, I don't know, man. They're complaining about it so much,
Oh yeah.
and that you would just wonder if maybe and because they didn't even want Texas and Oklahoma coming in,
No.
and the SEC blew them off immediately.
Yeah.
But in view of the fact that this is 3 years ago and they're still complaining and
Mm-hmm.
complaining and complaining, or by the time they get in, it will have been 3 years.
Yep.
That maybe they throw them that bone, but I'm agree with you.
Yeah.
The more I think about it, there's no way they don't do it. So basically, that's your top two. Now, again, you have two that are in that top of the top half of the league traditionally, opponents for everybody, and then one that's in the bottom half traditionally for everybody as well. So that would take care of Texas's, and we're both in agreement that we figure it's going to be OU and A&M for Texas, correct?
Yeah, I mean that's going to be the. I would think that
The other two I was thinking was Ole Miss and LSU were possibilities there
for A&M.
for Texas.
Oh yeah, for Texas, I think it's almost got to be. I mean, the two schools that you would almost just right off the top of your head, A&M and Oklahoma, and
Right.
then that third team could potentially be Arkansas, just because of their, they've been playing the last year, couple years or stuff like
They
that.
have.
So that's another one that you've got. Obviously, LSU who could be right there. Other teams, but yeah, that third team will be definitely up in the air for sure. But I think
Texas.
the two teams, I think the two teams that you have to put on Texas's schedule every year is Oklahoma and A&M.
Right.
And that third team could go either way. With
you feel like it could be Arkansas, Mississippi State. Obviously, is going to be one of these bottom tier teams.
I don't think it's going to be Mississippi State.
Okay.
I think it'll be
and maybe Missouri.
It could be Missouri. Yep. Because I mean, you've still got some ties there with the old Big 12 stuff like that as well too.
Right.
But yeah, it could easily be one of the Mississippi schools. But I don't think, unless they wanted to try to start a new rivalry, I don't know if one of those end up on the schedule or not.
Because Mississippi schools.
Yeah. Because then you've also got Kentucky, Vanderbilt, some of those schools that are out there, Missouri, like you said. And so it's going to be interesting to see where those teams fall as well too.
Right. And I figured, so in the way I was figuring it with A&M, now I was watching one guy's video, and he was talking about this with LSU from the LSU standpoint, saying that he felt like, obviously he was saying kind of the same thing about the protected ones that are already there.
Yep.
And even though I think a lot of LSU fans would like to see them play Florida every year, and definitely would like to probably see them play Bama every year, it's never going to happen. Yep. But where he had it as he expected them was to stay with, it was going to be A&M. It was going to be A&M. Oh yeah. LSU was going to be A&M, Ole Miss, and Mississippi State were going to be tied in together. Yeah. Now, obviously, if that would change, if what we said is just correct, of A&M is definitely going to play Texas every year, that's probably going to throw a monkey wrench in that.
Yeah.
In him doing that.
That's interesting, because if I was an LSU fan, I'd still want to play Arkansas every year just because of that rivalry.
And I kind of wondered about that too. I was like, that was the first thing I thought of.
That's a big game. So that's interesting to see, because you got so many different opinions out there. But I mean, me personally, if I was an LSU fan or an Arkansas fan, I definitely want to keep that game on the schedule as well. And then if I was Arkansas, I definitely want to keep Missouri on the schedule, because that might be one of your easier games on the schedule coming down the down the pipe. But
Arkansas is considered a second tier program.
Yeah.
Whereas A&M and Ole Miss would probably consider top half at this point.
Yep.
At least right now they are.
Yeah, it'll be
I wouldn't necessarily call Ole Miss the top half of the league traditional team.
Because you've obviously got the Lane Kiffin effect and everything like that, and what they've been doing. They've been winning games. They're certainly not.
I think they have, even with Hugh Freeze before that, they were doing great.
Oh yeah, you beat Bama a couple times, but yeah, consistently, I would say middle to bottom half of the league.
Sure. All right, so looking at A&M, then I feel like just trying to pick A&M. We know for sure they're with Texas, and then their other one, is it Oklahoma? Do you think?
I think it is, just because of all the history there and old Big 12 rivals and stuff like that. I almost think that you have to put them on the schedule, but then again, you also have LSU. That's been a really good game for them down the stretch in some years. So those are the two teams I think that you're talking about and trying to weed through is which one of those do you put on A&M schedule? Do you put LSU or do you put Oklahoma? So I think that's the thing that the SEC is going to try to probably think about is one of those two teams being on A&M's permanent schedule.
So if it's Oklahoma, then you got to figure that, all right, now OU is probably putting LSU. If it's Oklahoma playing, no, then it would be Oklahoma would be playing Texas and A&M, and then Arkansas.
Yep. I think the three teams. Now, this is me personally. I'll just go ahead.
So that does probably throw that back to that Arkansas, and then the two Mississippi schools for LSU.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. So for me, as an OU fan, the three teams that I would want, just obviously Texas. That's a given. A&M, just because I love playing A&M and beating them. And then the biggest team that I want on our schedule, just because I have so many friends and all that are Arkansas fans, and I'm so close to Fayetteville, being in Tulsa, all that stuff.
Right.
I want Arkansas. Like, I want Arkansas bad because there's so much talk. We trash talk each other all the time. And I would love the first game to be in Fayetteville and we go over there and just wreck their ass. That's just my personal opinion.
They started looking like they were going to be better this past season, and they ended up not being better. They had a lot of injuries,
and that just not just football, but across the board. That'd be a great rivalry for us too. And money, and it's so close. It's like the 3.5 hours, 3 hour commute for both schools, and you pack both places, and
I think if you're the SEC, you have to consider that, the fact that you kind of want to do that because of the fact that they are so close.
Yeah,
the fans are definitely
and it's an old rivalry.
It is, absolutely.
And so I think, man, you almost. And I'm glad I'm not the SEC. I'm glad I'm not Greg Sankey and all those guys trying to make these schedules, because that's why they get paid the big bucks. But I would certainly love Texas, Arkansas, and A&M on Oklahoma's permanent three team schedule.
I like that schedule a lot. Part of me also says that I feel like if that's the case, though, I mean, you're kind of leaving. LSU ends up with a really kind of cakey schedule, And I don't know that the SEC allows that, right? I feel like I think Arkansas, you're right on the money with that one. I feel like that one has to happen. What I don't know is I feel like A&M has to be on that schedule because they have been a big rivalry themselves. I mean, they had the 6 overtime game like we were talking about.
Yep.
So I feel like it's going to be Ole Miss, A&M, and Arkansas. And then the Mississippi. So that would actually change up Oklahoma's schedule as well for me. And that would leave Oklahoma with, who are they playing? They're probably going to end up with Ole Miss, which I don't necessarily hate that.
I don't
know that it's a traditional anything like that, but I don't know that that's the only place to go. But I feel like if you're getting Texas and Arkansas, that's two traditional rivals, then they could throw Ole Miss in there as your other one.
I would, if I was the SEC, and I think I would still put A&M on our schedule.
Listen, I would too, but I'm just saying, I'm just thinking
because you've also got games to go around. I mean, you've got plenty of room on your schedule to put those games on the.
When you're definitely going to play them every other year anyway. It doesn't. I mean, that's the beauty of what I think is. I don't know why they would consider any other format than this one, because of the fact that there's some
I personally
programs that don't play every 10 years right now.
Well, A&M is, I don't think, played Georgia.
Right. Yeah, and they've been in for over 10 years.
And they haven't. I don't think they've ever played Georgia. But
that's crazy,
me personally, I like the divisions. I love the division model. Yep. Okay. You play your 8 or 9 games over there, and you just have a shorter non-conference.
Okay.
But that's just my. I'm more of a traditional type of.
I mean, I like the 3-6 myself, and I like the idea that you will have played every team in the league, in 4 years, home and away. So it's, I mean,
but
you
with the
will have played them
division model,
twice.
you can't do you almost can't do the flip flop, but with like 1 or 2 teams. So
Right.
and like they do now because you're adding more teams into the mix. But I mean, yeah, I like the divisions, but you know, I'm just ready to play in the SEC.
I tell you, that's the beauty of it.
So,
and I mean, the one thing that we can always agree on, that everybody's going to agree on, is this: the recruiting bump that you're going to get, the money change that it's going to. I mean, now you have a true opportunity, I feel like, to compete for national championships.
Well, and then now
Are
you're
you
going
going
to
to dominate the conference? No, but
you're going to have the expanded playoff now with 12 teams.
True.
And then you're also almost guaranteed a game on TV every week because of with the SEC network, and then what we have with ESPN Plus, and no more pay-per-view games. And
man,
you know, it's one of those things where, and we'll get to be on CBS on primetime. That'll be freaking huge. So yeah.
That's awesome, man. I'm excited for it. Folks, let us know what you think about this. That I'm gonna toss this over to Drew. He's gonna put this on his channel too. Let us know what you think. What do you think? Are there any holes in what we're talking about? I'm looking at it as, I feel like my favorite schedule would obviously be the one that Drew threw out there of Texas A&M, Arkansas. That would be my favorite protected schedule, guaranteed to play those guys every year.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like if you do that, I do feel like that kind of makes LSU kind of have an easy every year team. You know, I don't
when
really
you're talking
see
about like Mississippi schools and stuff like that. Yeah.
Right. And they're not going to have, I mean, they're going to have both the Mississippi schools, and Arkansas would be an upper tier then. I have a hard time believing that that's going to be the case. I feel like they're going to either get thrown onto, I feel like Texas A&M is going to end up playing there, or Oklahoma would maybe end up in that spot. We'll figure out kind of how that all goes. But one thing we do know for sure, we definitely get Texas every year. I'm guessing that Arkansas has got to. I can't imagine another opponent that they would throw over there.
Yeah.
Aside,
I would much rather have Arkansas than if I had to pick, I'd rather have Arkansas than A&M.
Right.
Yeah. So if they're, hey, which one would you rather have? You know, Arkansas all day long. So
I'm in agreement there. And then, you know, and I wouldn't mind playing LSU. I don't know that I want to play them every year necessarily, but
that'd be a fun game.
It would be a good game. And if you beat them, you know, you've got a squad. If you beat them more times than not, you know, and particularly with the way things are looking. But folks, let us know what you think. Jump in the comments. Tell us what you think. We might be crazy, but maybe we're not.
We probably are.
Yeah, I'm definitely crazy.
But hey, I'll tell you this, Oklahoma fans, you better get ready. All I'm saying is student section, you can't leave early. You can't show up late. You got to get ready. And then when you're traveling to some of these SEC schools, you're going to have a wide awakening coming up.
I can't wait for the tailgating, bro. I cannot wait for the tailgating.
But we got to step up. We got to step up our fandom,
our fan game. Absolutely. And I think that that's been the case for a while now. It's something, I mean, I'm glad you brought that up in view of the fact that, and I've been to too many games where it got too damn quiet at important times of the game. And all of a sudden you look over and the student section is empty, you know? I think that a lot of that had to do with that freaking early game all the time where the sun is beating the crap out of that part of the stadium.
There's a lot of factors. I'm not just completely throwing everybody under the bus. I'm just saying that we have to, no excuses now that we're going into the mega conference. And I mean, we saw that if you guys were in Omaha for the College World Series, like I was, it was like 90% Ole Miss and 10% OU, maybe.
Wow.
and they filled that stadium. They were throwing beer.
And that's crazy, man. Right?
So,
oh man, I've been to a couple of SEC games, and I can tell you, and it's like, man, I'll tell you one thing about A&M. I'm not an A&M fan in any way, shape, or form. But you go to a game there,
they get it done.
You know that place is insanity.
Yeah, I remember going early 2000s, going down there.
So
and that stadium is shaking. Folks.
Yeah, I was in the press box because I was working at that time at the Midland Reporter Telegram, and dude, and it was Tech, and I felt like the damn press box was about to come out from under me. It was literally rolling the stadium, man.
Yep.
It was
No.
wild place, man. Wild places.
Well, my co-host for the Anything OU podcast, he lives in College Station, so he can tell you all about the throwdowns that they have, man, and they do it right. So
yeah.
yeah.
I've been to one other game. I got to go see a game at Ole Miss. It was actually it was them against LSU.
I can't wait.
Amazing.
If we get to rotate and get down there, man, I'd love to go down. I got a friend,
Oxford's
friends
a cool place, dude.
Yeah,
Oxford's a cool place.
Yeah, hottie toddies and the Grove. So
yes,
I'm
the
excited.
Grove.
Yep.
Lots of fun, man. Lots of fun. It's going to be lots of fun for everyone. Let us know anything else that you want to see coming up. Let us know. It's something that I'm putting together content lists all the time. I know Drew's doing the same. Drew, tell everybody how to find you one more time, and then we'll jump off.
Absolutely. The first thing, me and my buddy Zach Merrill, we do the Under Official Review podcast. We talk all things college football across the board, and we talk NFL stuff as well. We just had our Super Bowl preview come out and everything like that in preparation for the Super Bowl. But we talk all things college football, and then our other podcast with Christian, we talk anything OU, everything OU content over there. So you can find us on all the major social medias: Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and then our YouTube channels. Just search the Under Official Review for all your college football content, and then OU fans, the Anything OU podcast over there on YouTube as well.
He's also a guest on my show often. He's a guest on the Horns Down podcast almost all the time.
Yeah, I'm over with Ty
at the PG show and Ty around the tables. Yep, around the table.
Oh yeah.
Unfair Sports. Hey, you're gonna find Drew everywhere, just like you're starting to find me in a lot of places as well.
I just love talking ball. So
man, me too, man. Yep. Me too. Yep. I want to get you on with the coach too. Obviously, I've got a high school coach that does the show with me a lot.
Well, yeah, and I do that too. So I coach high school football as well. So
right.
I dabble in all things. So
well, awesome, man. Thanks for coming on the show. I appreciate it.
Absolutely.
And folks, make sure that you hit that like and subscribe button. Get over to those channels and make sure that you're subscribing to Drew's. They're putting out amazing content all the time, just like we're trying to bring it to you. You can support the show through Venmo, CashApp, or the Super Chat Heart. And you can also get podcast merchandise, that Horns Down stuff right there, as you can see right underneath Drew. Or you can hit, obviously, the Fanatics Partner Store. Get up to 65% off everything in the store. We get a small commission off of it. You save up to 65%. Win-win. So, anyway, thanks for coming, and let us know what you think about these scenarios that we threw out there, and we'll see you on the next one.